Right. Good morning, young man. I hope that you had a restful evening and you're up and psyched for the day. So I put this on screen so that you may be alive to the fact of what's the testing trend for paper 1, question 1, the functional skill writing. And my prayer is that for those that came on early, have been able to look at this and see, so far what has been tested and how many times has been tested, such that we are not operating in the dark. We are very strategic in our projection of our 2023 exam. And therefore, that is what we decided to make it known to you. Good morning, Madam Isinta. Sorry for my bad manners.
Good morning and welcome on board, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I've just been conscious of the time and seeing how, the young men are coming in. So that is why I just went on straight to the point. But anyway, as you can see, it is just captured up to 2021. And as we told you the other time, yesterday, rather, that 2022, the functional skill tested was the speech. These other areas, we'll update them as time goes on. But that is what it looks like, the given testing trend, paper 1, in the various aspects. And our prize that we shall also share this with you, in terms of our handouts when we report back to school. But please be aware of this, go back and review. So thank you for that. So today we said we shall be looking at the functional skill minute writing, and then we shall switch over to paper 3, essay writing, and see how far we go with that. And God willing, we hope to cover this within the stipulated time. So when we talk about minutes, really, minutes are referred to as some formal writing. It's institutional writing. When you're looking at minutes, that is institutional bit of writing. And so therefore, we must be conversant with this bit of writing so that we are not caught off guard when it comes to the fact that, sorry, that's not what I want to share. Yeah, I think that is what I want to share with you. Such that we are not caught off guard when it comes to, testing. That even wherever it is that we would go, we are what this is. Oh, somebody has some background. Okay. I was just trying to highlight, I think okay, sorry about that. Minute writing. Is everybody able to see that? Can you just get a confirmation?
No.
You're not able to see this, what I'm sharing?
Yes.
I think why they are not saying, it is facing the left. Maybe if it could be upright, they could see.
Yes, madam.
I'm saying, maybe you could turn it so that it faces up.
Let me just try that. Okay, now, are people now able to hear me? Okay, let us start with Davis Mutua, muted. Davis,
He needs to mute.
could you tell Davis Mutua to mute? Oh my goodness, I even Wakahi mute, please. All right, I guess those are technical issues. So telling you, let's start this over again. I shared with you the trends of KCSE, English paper 1, question 1. Now we're moving on to the minute writing. And this is what I wanted to share with you. Again, just a reminder that when you're looking at minutes or any functional skill for that matter, we are looking at format, content, language. Let's be right to that fact. Format, content, language. So as I was saying, minutes are a formal document. It's known as, it's part of, classified under institutional writing. And we must be aware of this bit of document because it's not something that we can wish away from our lives. It's something that we're going, not only is it going to be tested, is it not only testable units or functional skill, we also, it's a tool that we shall use even after school. So let's be conversant with how minute writing looks like and other bits of writing, because these are skills that we are acquiring for further use. So the minutes constructed in this form, we have the heading. I mean, as you now so far know, that these functional skills have headings. And so the heading of the minutes, it contains, it's in this given order. And I think let's look at the highlighted facts, the bolded bits. It contains the name of the group that is meeting. So if it is drama club, speaking of drama club, it also contains, the heading contains the venue, as in where this people meeting. It contains the date, and then lastly, the time of the meeting. And it should be written in capital letters. It should be written in capital letters. And always, this is the format, it begins with the word minutes. So an example there is minutes of the 4th Kano Women Group Annual General Meeting held at Kanguku Chiefs Camp on 4th January 2006. Please note, Kanorio Women Group is the name of the group, but it starts with the title. You have the location, the venue, that is Kanguku Chiefs Camp. You have the given, yes, and then you have the bit of the date. Please ensure that the time is not indicated in this one, but the time is, we can assume the time is 4 p.m. So please always have this bit of order, that you have the name of the group, the venue, the date, and time of meeting. The second bit in the format of minutes is a list of attendance, because a meeting constitutes a group of people. So the beautiful thing, again, as we said yesterday, is that in the question that will be given to you, and we'll share a question with you, is that you're guided in terms of what to include in your content. So the second thing is a list of attendance. And list of attendance shows, as we said, the people are physically present for that meeting, not people who are likely to attend, but people who are physically present that can be counted. And therefore, you start off by indicating the number of people present. And then there are people who may not attend the meeting, but they have communicated. It's good manners to say, by the way, I will not be able to attend the meeting or tomorrow. So these people are the ones who are listed as or indicated as absent with apology. And again, you'll be so guided in the question. The question may state, there are 3 members, or in this case we have, yes, there are 3 members who sat or gave in the apologies. So absent with apology. And then there's only that one person who totally lacks etiquette. They just don't show up, it's bad manners. And so therefore, and nobody is aware about, is unaware of their whereabouts. And therefore, these are the persons who are listed as absent, or at times absent without apology, but NEC indicates that you see absent. Am I talking too fast? Are we okay to that point?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, you are
All
right.
Okay, thank you. And then last but not least, those who are in attendance. In attendance are those people that are not party to this group, but have been officially invited to this meeting. So they're known to be in attendance. And in attendance, I mean, you can have anybody. For example, possibly we want the chief principal to find out what debating club is all about, or we want him to honor us with his presence, and so invite to the debating club meeting. And so he would be Mr. Kamal, chief principal, in attendance. The other person could be the patron. The patron necessarily attend meetings, but one of they'll be present, and so therefore you'd have the other person in attendance. So in attendance, when you have in attendance in your listing of people who are attending this meeting, it simply means that these are invited persons. And again, let me revert. The question given to you will so guide you that you have 2 visitors, 2 officials, then therefore you would quickly note that, hey, in my last section of listing people in the meeting, I will have that caption of in attendance. I'll have that caption of in attendance. Okay, right. Unless somebody wants to raise a question, I shall continue with the rest of questions so far on the attendance. Any questions? Something that's not clear? Are we okay? We must get this right. People, remember, focus for scoring in this question, we are focusing on nothing less than 16 out of 20. We must nail it and score the A's. And that is one way of scoring the A's. That is one way of scoring the A's. Right. I guess we can proceed. That when it comes to the next point, and that is number 3, is now when it is that we're getting started with, we're continuing with the actual. So the actual bit of meeting, the 3rd point was preliminaries or preamble. Some will call it preamble, and some will write it as preliminaries. So some will write it as preamble, to write it as preliminaries. Sorry, let me just get that. Some write it as preamble and others as preliminaries. And you're told in this section, it simply contains the welcoming remarks of the chair is calling the meeting to order. And so therefore, welcoming remarks of the chair, person conducting the meeting. You know, in carrying out a meeting, there should be the boss, and the boss will be the chairperson. And as they call the meeting into order or to order, they would possibly have somebody pray, and therefore the meeting starts at the specific time that it was intended to start. So like our class today was supposed to begin at 9, or is supposed to begin at 9. And therefore, if we were to pray, that the meeting would begin at 9 with a word of prayer after the chair has called to order. Right, let me now share that second bit. Meeting can start at 9 o'clock with words of prayer from Madam Isinta. The fourth point that we need to put in consideration is the confirmation of minutes. I'd want to put a disclaimer on this. What does it mean, confirmation of minutes? Minutes would only, again, will be guided by the question, that minutes would only be confirmed when it is that there's been a previous meeting. Again, examination council will guide us accordingly in terms of the question. The question given to us will guide us on whether this is a first meeting or this is another meeting. And therefore, you're confirming minutes is because there's a previous meeting. And so therefore, you're simply confirming that this minutes that you're reading are an actual or true account of what it is that was discussed previously, and therefore can be, you know, okay. I'm still trying to share. My network is misbehaving, but I know I'm going to succeed in a minute to share with you what it is that I'm trying to highlight to you. So be patient with me. Yes. So yes, confirmation of minutes. A recap on this, young men, because I can tell so many of us are still joining, is that this relates to the reading and confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. And who reads this minute? The person who normally reads this minutes is the secretary or appointed secretary of the day. And as they're read and confirmation means that it's going to be a true account of what it is that was discussed. And normally there is one person who proposes and say, hey, Madam Kibisu here proposes that that is truly what we discussed. And then there'll be a second person to second. That's what seconding. So somebody proposes and another person seconds that. This is a true account of what it is that it was discussed. And in the event that there are any kind of questions to be made, then at this juncture, at this point of reading and confirmation of the minutes, corrections are made and the secretary makes note of those corrections. Now, young men, we need to derive or conscious of the fact that the examiner could put a trick, you know. We know, yes, it's a minute writing, but the final details, like in this section, if the examiner, I'm just imagining, decides to put a twist to the says, as minutes were read, there were certain corrections to be made. So I believe now this is where it is that writing, you indicate those bits of corrections. Let's move to part 5 of minutes writing, and that is matters arising. This section of the format gives me a bit of shivers. Again, we are guided by the question. Because when looking at matters arising, matters can only arise if there's been a previous meeting, such that matters are arising from the meeting that already took place. So in some cases where the agenda of the meeting has not been drawn, matters arising from the agenda of the day. Normally, you'd have an agenda. A meeting is just not, has order. A formal meeting has order. This is the agenda. This is what you're going to discuss. 1, 2, 3. So the meeting is discussed. The minutes are discussed systematically so that the comment on a specific meeting should be recorded against that minute. And please, I know you're making notes. Please note, I would put NB, that this matters arising, the actual matter arising is minuted differently. It does not follow the sequence of minuting the other items that we have so far raised. So the matter arising, the actual matter minuted differently. The next bit, that is section 6 of the format, now is the actual agenda. Imagine the actual agenda of the meeting has not taken off. But after matters arising, after discussing the issue of the previous meeting, now the actual agenda of this current meeting takes place. And the agenda would have been shared earlier. So maybe the agenda is raising funds for a walk, funds for debating club. I think I'm so much in love with debating club. Or raising funds for drama costumes. So the agenda could be any issues that are Is somebody saying something to me? Yes. I think people need to be muted. But anyway, I can see there are several, maybe just to hold up, let's see what people are saying in the chat room. Madam. Okay, let's just hold, let me respond to this. After I finish, I'm just about to finish on the format and then will respond to these questions, okay? In a minute. So we move on to, after the actual agenda or items to be discussed in that meeting, then we move to what is known as A or B. A or B refers to any other business. A or B refers to any other business. Please note, A or B refers to any other business out of what is being discussed in this meeting. So that means it's not an item of agenda, but even as much as it is any other business, this business must be matters relevant to the activities of the group. So you cannot be any other business. If it's drama club meeting, they can't start now talking about, the young farmers meeting. So it is something related to the group in discussion. So these matters must, however, as I said, be relevant to the activities of business of B. Last but not least, it's adjournment. you know, this meeting has a beginning and a time to end, for crying out loud. So it must adjourn at some given time. But before the meeting adjourns, members agree when shall be our next meeting. If we meet fortnightly or quarterly, in a year, so when are we focusing on meetings? So possibly the date of the next meeting is set. And this meeting, of course, is indicated to you there. The meeting adjourned, you must indicate the time. The meeting adjourned at 5:30 p.m. per hour prayers. Again, you mention the name. And the next meeting, who said the prayers? And the next meeting will be on 14th April 2023, same time. You need to do that. So lastly, we have the sign off. People, again, let's be very, very clear on this. And this space is left so that once it is that in the next meeting, have confirmed and clear that yes, this is truly what it is that we discussed, that is when it is that that sign-off section will be signed. There are two persons who do this. It's the chairperson and the secretary. And look at the order. It's chairperson first because it's the boss of this meeting. Secretary, because the secretary is simply handy person. So you have the space for their name and signature and the actual date when this is to be signed. Please note, disclaimer, minutes cannot be signed before they are read and confirmed in the next meeting. That is what I've just been talking about. And I would want you to note that minutes cannot be signed before they're read. So when you're writing this minutes, it means that this meeting, this minutes will only be signed now in the following meeting. They can't be signed at that bit of time. Another points to note are minutes are cumulative. What does this mean? That there's a way in which I will answer you, Mohammed. Let me just finish. I'll answer you. Minutes are cumulative, meaning that there's a way in which we write these minutes. For example, we have minutes now. When it starts 2023, it's minute 1/1. That's January 2023. So we need to have that bit of indication. I'll show you a sample. We need to have indication that you start with MIN. Please do not write minutes in full. So we have the minute as in MIN, maybe 13/2023. Remember we said yesterday, having to write dates, we need to be very current. So it should be 2023. And please note, months are usually not indicated in the minutes. Months are usually not indicated in the minutes. So you're not going to say July/2023. Months are usually not indicated in the minutes. Let us be conversant of that. Madam, I can see we have many hands. We'll respond to all of you. Remember, you're looking at language. We said we look at format, content, and language. So in language, the language of minutes is passive. The passive voice is what it is that is used. We use the passive voice in writing minutes. Something else also that you must note, excuse me, is that arguments and disagreements are not recorded in minutes. Arguments and disagreements are not recorded in minutes. Only the resolutions, what it is that is agreed upon, that is what is recorded in minutes. So people will argue and disagree, but they will eventually agree. So the way forward or solution is what is recorded. Firstly, all items must be headed, just as all items must be headed. All items must be headed. That is why the bit of subtitling. That's a bit of subtitling. Right, now we can, I can see we have several questions, Madam.
Yes.
I will start off with the very top. Somebody says, can the chairperson be absent with apology? Yes, the chairperson can be absent, but he would have gotten somebody to stand in for them. So there'll be an acting chair. Even a secretary can be absent, so we can appoint an acting secretary. Yes, so that's possible. I'll take the next two. Madam, have you been able to access the chat?
No.
Okay, I will just now share with you. The next question is, will you be penalized if you don't include in attendance? Mohammed, you will only be penalized if it's in the question. I remember I made it, if it's in the question and then you've not incorporated it. But if it's not in the question, but there are two.
Then you don't have.
Have to, yes. Number 3, there's somebody asking, if you had been told that the president is in attendance, do you write the current president in office or do you create our own names? Madam, you want to respond to that? Nimrod, yeah.
I thought the president is one and only. And also, I want to imagine this falls under factual writing. So I don't think it gives space for us imagining another name for the president or another president. It is factual writing.
That's a crime. Yes, treason for that matter. Anyway, I was asked to pick the statement on X. I wonder what that statement was. Maybe somebody can tell me. You know, I've made quite a bit of reference. As people were joining earlier, I had on screen, before we officially began this lesson, I had on screen the trends, and that so far tested. I'm hoping that is what you're making reference to. And we can see the number of times that certain skills have been tested and others haven't. That is possibly what I was saying. And then I also made reference to the fact that the good thing, the examiner question 1 usually guided in terms of what to include in your content and what functional skill you're having to write. Somebody asked, Madam, do you mention the names of the people who proposed who proposed and seconded who proposed and seconded? Yes, we must.
Yes, you mentioned.
Yes.
And I think to add to that, the only other time you mention people's names apart from there is when they are given specific tasks to do, because then in the next meeting, Madam Kibisu, who was tasked to look into accommodation and transport of the journalism club to Nakuru, then will give feedback.
Thank you. We don't mention names. We don't say Madam Isinta, say Madam Kibisu. No, only as you've heard, when you're assigned tasks and when it is that you're proposing and seconding the meeting. Of course, another task is when you're having to pray, you must indicate who prayed.
Yes.
Last but not least, somebody says, in case it's the first meeting, will there be a need to include matters arising? No. Where is the matter arising from? So no, you simply.
Yet there's no previous meeting.
So you must prepare a space for the chairperson, and yes, you must prepare a space in the sign off as indicated. Somebody asked do indicate if it is acting or not. I guess yeah. The secretary and the chair. Yes, please. Acting chair, acting secretary. Muraguri, this we are discussing the likely look of the exam. Huh? So can you not sign in an examination situation? We said we will only sign after these minutes have been confirmed as a true account. So that is why, again, keenly look at the question presented before you. It guides you on whether the minutes you're writing are being signed or they're not being signed. Could you please expound on the different ways of numbering minutes? I believe there's only one way of numbering minutes. You write MIN as I'll show you a sample. You just simply write MIN, the number maybe 6/2023, or MIN 1/2022. So it's just the first bit of minutes that it's caught, min, MIN. Madam?
Yes, Madam.
We are told, could we repeat the point on number? Oh, no. Oh, numbering matters arising. Oh, yes. That's a good point, by the way. Now, as I said, I will share, but matters arising, the title matters arising, sequence of the other items that you raised before. But the actual matter, the issue that you're raising, as Madam has said, Madam Kibisu was tasked with arranging for transport and accommodation. So that will be minuted differently away from the minuting of this present meeting, because it is in reference to a previous meeting. Madam, you want to say that?
It's you have said it clearly. Very clear. If we talk more, we will confuse.
I think so too.
It's there, the number of that minute that was there in that meeting.
Okay. Right. I think the last one, well, the young man was paying attention. Yes, Nimrod, you're okay. Yeah, I agree with what it says that you've said there. As you said, if we continue this, will confuse you. If you're an acting chair, do you leave space for the chair? Oh, no. I mean, really, the chair of that meeting simply is a chair, period. We just leave it a chair. In the sign-off, you don't write acting chair. You just simply chair and secretary, because the person has been mandated to take charge of the meeting. At this rate, I think I need to share with you, let me share with you a sample. And I'd urge that, young men, I'd urge that you do go over to your book, have a look at what these minutes look like, huh? Okay. Now that is just a general format, but matters arising from the previous meeting. Sorry, there's one person who is, let me sort him out. Can you get penalized if you also include the agenda in the minutes? No. You wouldn't get penalized, but there's no need. If the agenda has been given to you, there's no need to put the agenda in the minutes, okay? When writing minutes, should it be in uppercase or sentence? I'm not too sure what you mean, but just use proper skills of writing. There are various titles the title minutes of the group needs to be in capital letters. I think that's where we started off from. The other respective titles can just be in title case. You need to be consistent. Whatever you take, if it's title case or capital letter, using capital, you should be consistent. Make sure you're consistent in your writing. That is what I'd advise us to do. All right. I think, are you penalized for writing the names of the people in only one language group? What? Come on. Really? On Sogo, we are past that. No. The examiner is not myopic. So you write what it is that you're familiar with, okay? So you'll not be penalized that you're not in. Who is it to see which tribe? We are past that as Kenyans. We don't look. We're not tribal. So that's what the examiner is not looking to seeing whether you're being tribal or not. So
actually, what the examiner wants, sorry to interrupt, what the examiner wants in your list of attendance, do you have those present? Do you have those absent with apology? Do you have those who are absent? Do you have in attendance? I don't think that they are going to zero in on tribe. Madam, you are right. What we want is names. We just want them names there.
Yes. Thank you for that. Okay, young man. Yes, minute writing is quite the skill. It's one of the longest. It's a long. I'd say it's quite a long writing skill, and so therefore, well, we're just giving you. But therefore, that's what I'm asking and urging you that you need to revert and get to seeing what exactly these skills incorporate, especially the long ones. When you're looking at minute writing, report writing, the different reports, when you're looking at the synopsis. So please make sure that you're conversant with the structure, which is a format, the content, being guided by the question that the examiner will give you, and then the bit of language. Very, very important. Very, very important. Yes, Wakahio.
What if you have another person who's not in that organization? How do you say that that person attended the meeting? Like, how do you record it?
I think, Wakayo, you must have joined in late. When it is that you're looking at the list of attendants, that person is from somewhere else, we list that person as in attendance, meaning they're not party to this organization, party to this group that is meeting, and so therefore they're invited guests and they are in attendance. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? We are here to learn from each other. Maybe I cannot see anybody in the chat. Oh, is this another Andrew? Yes, Andrew.
Excuse me, madam.
Yeah.
Could you kindly share an example of where, let's say, matters are arising? During the confirmation of minutes, the minutes that were initially written were different from the actual ones. How would we go about writing that or framing that?
Just say that again, please. Could you say that again?
Okay. In the event where we were doing confirmation of minutes and the minutes that were indicated, or rather that were read, are different from the actual minutes of the previous meeting, how would we frame that?
What do you mean? The minutes that were read are different from the actual minute? Because when it is that when it is that we are having a meeting, before we start, we read the minutes of the previous meeting that we had. Okay. Now, if you're going to have now, let me say a third meeting, let's call it, let's number it, because you had the first meeting, which we had, we had the first meeting, then you have a second meeting, and this meeting is referring to what it is that to discuss in the previous meeting, that is minute 1. So we are having minute 2, and in minute 2, you're discussing minutes, discussion minute 1. Now, in the meeting of minute 3, we will not, in matters arising, not raise issues of the first meeting, because now that has been resolved. You can't have matters of now subsequent meetings, okay? Because now that is resolved, okay? That must be resolved. I hope I got you right.
And I think you
Yes.
also said it, Madam, that minutes are cumulative. So for these
Yeah.
ones to be written, then we are looking back to previous ones.
Okay.
And I want to imagine that is immediate previous ones because they are cumulative. You said that at the end when you are pointing out the points to note.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mm.
Yes, and therever, in the bit of attendance, we start with the most senior person in that in the attendance, and then we go to the least senior. Okay, yes. So in terms of seniority, I hope that is answered.
And I think once you display,
yeah,
they will see how that forms out. The chairperson, the secretary, the treasurer, and then the rest are members. I think when you display, they'll see that.
No, I'm trying to look for one with in attendance. That is what I want to share with them. But I guess I'll get it in due course in the my bit of slides.
Okay.
Okay, but this one is upside down. It's have to turn. I think your screen's upside down. I don't know. Mine has really gone. You really must have to turn your screens upside down. Are you seeing in attendance?
Yes,
So
personally, I'm seeing. I don't know whether they are seeing, but I'm seeing Mrs. Ngoru and Mr. Mbiruki.
Yes, yes.
Mbiruki.
Yes. All right, the young man. Okay, right.
Yes.
You possibly have to turn your head upside down. That is gymnastics to do.
I think now it's okay.
Okay. Right. I think let me share with us the question that I'd like us to look at before we move on to now the essay bit of writing, because it will be important that we look at the essay bit of writing. No, that is not my question. My question is, because it's a long question. And so therefore, I'd like us to, I just want to take a snapshot of it so that we're able to look at this question and respond accordingly at one given time. Remember, we said that even as we give you this bit of assignments, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself and do the question or the assignment for purposes of being on track. Well, okay, Xavier, yes.
Shai, I had a question. Let's say we are writing the minutes of the meeting you're having right now, and then the minutes for the previous meeting ended with minute 7. Should we start with minute 8 for this meeting, Ama? We could start with minute 1 again.
Xavier, which language did you just interject? I did not understand. It was alien.
Sorry for that, teacher. I'm saying, let's say we are, let's say I'm the secretary of a group or an organization. I'm writing the minutes for the meeting that we're having right now, and the minutes for the previous meeting ended with minute 7. Should we start with minute 8, or we could start again from minute 1?
Very good question, Xavier. And that's exactly precisely what it is that we were just making notes of. We say that minutes are cumulative, okay? So minutes are cumulative. So yes, we continue from the series 8. So we start off from 8, huh?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let me share this question, which is proving to be quite a bit evasive. And then we can get on with the rest of the business of the day. So this exercise, you know, the examiner is always telling us to imagine. So let me tell you to imagine. Imagine you're the secretary of the Environmental Science Club. Because you were holding your third meeting in the year to discuss. Please note, in fact, I like the fact that I said the first meeting, minute 1, meeting 1, meeting 2, minute 3. So look, you are holding your third meeting in the year to discuss how you can carry out afforestation in your community. The meeting was chaired by the 5 members were present. 3 sent their apologies. These are my people. They have good manners. They sent their apologies. And then 2 did not. These are just not. These Kenyans are funny. The divisional forest officer to answer questions that may arise. You drew up your day's agenda as follows: preliminaries, reading and confirmation of previous minutes, matters arising, finances, tree seedlings, labor, A or B. And then the examiner says, write the minutes. It's not write the report. Write the minutes of the meeting, following the suggested format, include all the information given and any other relevant details. Let me just throw this very quickly at you. Because when you're given, don't be intimidated. Supposed a lot of information, because this is a good thing. That means you're being guided on what it is that your content, or rather your body, should be looking like. And then having in mind that you need to have the language of minutes, knowing that in having to write minutes, you're using passive voice. Okay?
Yes.
Secretary, very good, thank you. Now tell me, let me just quickly you into the wilderness. What would the attendance list be looking like? Somebody? Attendance list. You can raise your hand.
I think you'd only have the divisional forest officer in the attendance list.
Only? Okay, they will write under the title in attendance, isn't it? Yes,
Yes.
Very good. And that is the marking points the examiner will be looking at. So you miss out this, and yet you've been told the divisional forest officer is there to answer questions. Then you totally miss out, okay? You totally miss out. So I don't know if I say this, but also just remember that LB is always listed and it is brief. You write 1. We need to be starting our meetings with T. Number 2, members need to ensure punctuality. Number 3, that is what LB looks like. Okay, that's what LB looks like. So please endeavor to do that bit of assignment. Please endeavor to do that bit of assignment. Please endeavor to do that bit of assignment. Maybe before I hand over to Madam Isinta. Yes, Mayabi, yes, you're correct. We have 5 members present. True. 3 apologies, very good. And then we have 2 absent, and then we have 1 person who is in attendance, and that is the divisional. We must give them their title. Maybe Mr. Njoroge Wasiwala, the divisional forest officer. Very, thank you for that. Okay, Madam Isinta.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the broad lesson through minute writing. I want to emphasize, like you did, that practice makes perfect. So you told them to look at books, look at books, look at the examples. It's like time was limited. I would have wanted us, just like we did yesterday, to go through now a sample so that we get the language, the language of minute writing. We see the passive voice, and we see how we are not mentioning names of people unless they are given tasks. We see that you are not writing word for word. You are picking the main deliberations in the meeting. But Madam, I think because of time, I don't think you managed to share with us, but they have books. Let them go through the books so that they get the language, they get the tone, which is official, because this is formal communication. So thank you, Madam Kibisu. Thank you for the detailed review of minutes. I want to imagine they did this in class, and it's good also to hear it once more for the sake of revision, because I think that is the purpose for this class, to polish, and to see how best to score our upwards of 17. I know you gave them 16, but it's possible to score upwards of 17. Maybe one more thing in the title, you are very clear. You said they write in block, they block, capital letters, they capitalize the whole heading, but let them remember that those 4 things should come out for them to score. If you miss one, then for that title, instead of scoring 2, you get 0. So make sure you have the date, you have the time, you have the venue, and I think the name of the group that is meeting, because minus any of those, you get 0. So it's good to score your full marks for that title, and so that you also get your full marks for the format. That is just one thing that they need to remember. If you miss out one item of that title, the score is 0, and we don't want to lose any mark. So thank you so much for the interactive class that has gone on. Unfortunately, I can't see the questions. So Madam, I'll even rely on you when I go to the next bit on essay writing. I'll rely on you to pick the questions, send them over to me. You verbalize them, and then we'll respond or you respond. Otherwise, we also want to just touch a little bit on paper 3, that is essay writing. I know we have not done a bulk of it. We just started off, and we felt it was fair for you to test what an essay is and not come to do pre-mock, and that's the first time you're seeing an essay. So Madam, we appreciate as a department that our students were exposed to essay writing, and so now they need to build up as they went to the holiday. I hope they are working on the content. Read over and over again. You have your set books, there are 3. Read them over and over again. This is the time you have to read them. So please make sure you are friends with your set books. Otherwise, literature then can be a nightmare, because what are they testing? They are testing knowledge of the set text, knowledge of blossoms of the savannah, knowledge of a doll's house. And I want to imagine a silent song, because that's the direction we are going. Please read. One of the speakers we listened to, Madam, remember, he said, read 1,000 times. And he emphasized, he said that like 3 times, repetition for emphasis, read 1,000 times. Of course, that's an exaggeration, but it shows the task ahead is not easy. Let's know that early, that the task ahead is not easy. Make use of this holiday to read your set text, to master your content, to avoid textual errors, to avoid confusing characters, and to avoid even confusing books when it comes to the short story, to avoid confusing characters in this story and the other story. So a lot is needed. I don't want to shy away from saying that. I want to insist that a lot is needed of us. We have to read, read it, put it under your pillow in the night when you have no sleep. Go through a chapter just to master the content, and so that essay writing then does not become a difficult task. You don't write halfway the full scope and you're done. Madam, have we seen such in mocks?
Oh, yes.
Somebody just writes half the full scope and the content is gone. So what is the remedy? Read your set book over and over again. So back to yesterday, we said we were going to look at Nasila culture, how it gets very violent, violently dangerous when its sensibilities are violated. Now, before we go to the content of that essay, I know you have discussed this in class. Please remember that we are looking for 20 marks all the time. Think of the 20 marks, be it in the creative composition and in these compositions that are based on the set text. You're looking for 20 marks. And I think that should be motivation for you. These are like fruits. Pick as many as you can from that tree. And you can only do that, madam, if these students of ours read the text. Then their baskets will be full of fruits. Otherwise, it becomes very, very difficult to write an essay when you don't have the content. So we are looking for 20 marks. We have the 2 marks for introduction. We have the body that is going to take 12 marks. Conclusion, because you have to conclude your work. Yesterday we were looking at the letter and we said you have to have a concluding paragraph. Always conclude your work. Show the examiner that now my essay is coming to an end. And then we have the 4 marks for language and presentation that will heavily come from the content, will come from your mastery of content in the set text. So I'll not just score 4 because you are grammatical, no. I will score the 4 based on how well do you know your literature? How well do you know your set text? So know your set text so that you can score your 3 out of 4 or even 4 out of 4. That will be our joy as teachers of English. So master your text so that you have the 4 marks coming in. Then that then gives us a total of 20 marks. Every time you're writing, do you have a head? Do you have a body? And do you have the tail, which is the conclusion? Because all those components will give you marks depending on how well you have brought that out and how well you have answered the question. Also remember that you should be anchored on the question to avoid deviating, to avoid veering off. Make sure you are anchored on the question. And I'll always insist that when you get your question, and this was raised by Madam Kibisu, very, very importantly, the question is what you are answering. Even for the minutes that she has discussed in detail today, it is the question you are answering. The question will guide you. Who is absent with apology? Who is absent and who is in attendance? The question guides you. So make sure you underline the key parts of that question. If we look at yesterday's question, then a good student should underline Nasila culture. How violent it can get and why when its sensibilities are violated. If I'm not answering that, then I'm not answering the question. And every time you do your paragraph, make sure you keep looking at the question. The question is like your signpost. I think when we are moving on the highway, we look at the signpost, it guides us. So your question is your guidepost. Make sure you put it somewhere you are seeing. And when you do each paragraph, ask yourself, am I still anchored on the question? That is a very, very important question that you should have in your mind as you respond to that. Then I think the introductions, the introduction bit, there are different types of introductions that I want to leave it with your teachers. They will go into the different types of introduction that will come up in the classes, or it has already come up in the classes, because we are starting off, and I don't want to start this introduction. Sometimes the students get confused. Let's build on the various types of introduction as we do various questions, as we do various essays. I think that will come. But the most important thing in that introduction should be, am I still anchored on the question, even in that introduction? Remember, you are introducing the question. So are you still anchored on the question? The other thing that I would point out is you should avoid rewriting the question. So what do you need to do? Understand the question, paraphrase the question as you introduce the question. So do not rewrite the question. Then when it comes to terms, I know like the question we have, the one I gave yesterday, you're asking yourself, what is violation? What is sensibility? So don't go there to try and define culture. Don't go there and try and define sensibilities. Don't go there and try to define violated. Understand what it is, then respond to the question in your own words. So avoid that. Do not write the question and do not define terms. Then when it comes to paragraphing, each paragraph of the body should answer the given question in totality. Please remember that. Exhaust the idea that you are discussing in that paragraph in totality, so that you score. Then I think the other thing I will talk about, we'll apply this in the essay, is give background information. It should be give background information to contextualize the argument or the point that is being developed, so that you're not just starting, suddenly. No, give background information and then now go on to give the other illustrations to support the essay that you're writing. So I want to also take note of the points. How many ideas, how many paragraphs should I have? I think you should have 4 paragraphs. Of course, we have the first paragraph, the introduction, we have the conclusion, but in between, you should have the 4 paragraphs that are bringing out 4 different ideas. Do not break your paragraph, split your paragraph, and you're talking about 2 ideas in the same paragraph. Make sure that you're exhausting, you're discussing in totality that point before you go now to the next paragraph and discuss the next point. I think also, Madam, we have seen people write in 1 paragraph, the whole essay in 1 paragraph.
Yes.
And that now is very dangerous because you're abusing the rules of grammar. Much as I said here, we are testing the mastery of content in the set text. Remember, this is language, and therefore you have to also remember that there are rules when it comes to writing. Your ideas should be in different paragraphs. The question I know will be raised, do we indent the paragraph? Do we skip a line? Either is acceptable, but we encourage you to skip the line because that makes the paragraphs very, very distinct. So then I want us to go to the question. Unfortunately, because of time, I would have wanted
May we do roll call, please? Madam, we're carrying out the roll call, please. For you. May we carry out the roll call before you go to the next item? Roll call.
Oh, okay.
Roll call, roll call. We should finish this very quickly. This is 202, 204.
I can't see the roll call.
I too.
Save.
I too.
Can you?
I can do this.
Can you? Those who can't see the roll call, if you can see polls, just choose polls. Pick up polls, and then you should be able to see roll call. Around 10 boys remaining. Around 10 boys.
I cannot see the polls. They can't see the polls.
This is who?
Bonfim.
Okay, we are ending the polls now. So if you didn't get to see your polls, just text me. Text me directly right now. Madam, you may go on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Umbiro. Thank you. So back to the question, Nasila culture is violently dangerous when its sensibilities are violated. You had the question yesterday. I hope you took some time to just go back to the text, look at the culture, and if it is contravened, what happens? And whatever happens has to be dangerous. It has to be lethal. It has to be really, really bad. And so in just trying to interpret that question. So like I said, remember to introduce your essay. And being an essay on culture, because I think that's what we are seeing, it's an essay about culture, then there's no harm if we have something like Ma culture was the blood and marrow that gave sustenance to the body. Anyone then that contravened it was met with untold vengeance because it hit back on the person mercilessly, viciously, fiercely, ferociously, or mercilessly. So we need to internalize the question and try to paraphrase it. And then still in that introduction, take me to the text to confirm that. Examples of this include the mannerless old man and the two vagabonds, among others. So that is a likely introduction, and weigh it against the question. Is it anchored on the question? Have I talked about culture? Have I talked about if it is violated, then the repercussions are going to be merciless? Have I brought in, if you violate, have I brought in how you'll be dealt with? And definitely it's not going to be kind if violated. And remember, it's the text we are discussing. Have we brought in some examples from the text? Just highlighting. We are not going to discuss anything, just highlighting. That we have talked about the mannerless old man, and we have talked about the two vagabonds, among others, because there will be other incidents that will come in, and where we will see people contravening the culture and how they are going to be dealt with. So we have that then. We want to go to I may not do all the 4 paragraphs, but I will do 1 or 2 paragraphs to help you see what we said there. We said each paragraph should answer the given question in totality. And then we also said give background information so that you contextualize the argument or the point being developed. So the first point we are looking at is the mannerless old man. And what is the background information to this? Of course, you have to say who is bringing out this issue of the mannerless old man. Of course, it is Mama Milanoi. But what are the circumstances? Then it's good to mention that after Oloisdori expresses interest in Resian, Mama Milanoi is disturbed. And she remembers, I think she was about 10 years old, about this old man who is the mannerless old man who gets infatuated with a young girl. And this old man is trying to seduce her while she is milking. What is the contravention? The man is old. The girl is 14 years old. Culture does not allow that. In fact, Mama Milano is wondering, where is culture to come in and help me? Because Oloisdori wants Resian, who should be the daughter. So the contravention should come out. The old man is trying to seduce the girl, and the girl is young. She's 14 years old. This is supposed to be like the daughter. Apart from that, the old man is randy. At his age, he's randy and is following the girl all over. If you read the text, you see he follows the girl everywhere. So that is the contravention. Remember, we have put in the background information, and it's Mama Milanoi. It's around the time Oloisdori has expressed interest in Resian. And so Mama Milano is mulling over this. She's thinking and she's wondering, why is culture to come in and save me? Because previously culture had a way of dealing with this. So in that flashback then, we have the old man. We have seen the mistake he has made. We have seen how he has gone against culture. So we need to tie that, the contravention, and we tie that now to the punishment, and which captures that bit of the question when the sensibilities are violated. So it's good to capture that, but also, Nasila culture is violently dangerous. So it's good now to bring out, we have seen the background, we have seen the contravention. So we want to see, now that he has contravened, what is going to happen to him. So it's good to point out now, build a huge case on how violent it can get. We saw, you have your texts, you can read. Sorry, I need to also show you the pages 115, 116. Please go there and you will see some of this. He's beaten thoroughly. These are things I expect to see in your essay. He's stripped naked. They tease him. The text also says they taunt him. These women, the tsunami issue is mentioned, but they offer themselves to him en masse. Now that he wanted that one, they want to offer themselves to him en masse. If you read keenly, you will see what happens to the men. Because of the tsunami, they flee their homes. That day, there's no milking. We are building a case on how violent it can get if it is contravened, how merciless, how vicious it can get if it is contravened. When the men hear the battle cry, they know it is the tsunami. And so what do the men do? So, sometimes I try to picture that. It must have been awful. The men ran away. Men are supposed to protect, but they are the ones now who are running away because of the tsunami and because of this old man. And the climax, I think, of what happens to that old man because he has contravened culture is that he dies. He dies. Remember, he has been stripped naked, he has been teased. There is a rope around his neck and the girl is walking around with him. These are things that are there and that you need to bring out so that you build also on the repercussion if it is contravened. Why is this happening? It's because he has gone against the cultural expectations. And therefore, that then gives us the first full illustration I want to imagine. If you look at the pages I gave, 115, 116, maybe just to hear one or two comments. What have we left out? in terms of the repercussions.
Madam, if I may just add.
Yes.
Like on page 116, we're
Yes.
told, and to any man, what to any man that found on the way. I mean, yeah, woe unto any man. And the old man was actually, he was, his ears were pulled, he was slapped, he was, his hands bound. Really, that was a torturous image of all that.
Yes,
and,
it's quite an embarrassment. It's very, very painful moment for an old man like him. But why? He has gone against the cultural expectations. So we have that one illustration. And remember we said, put in enough detail, but tie the question. We see the culture and how violent it can get when it is violated. So it's good to see which culture, first of all, what culture and what is the violation and how is that dealt with. And please bring out how ruthless that can be. Now, I want to go on to another instance. Our paragraph 1 is done. So I want to take, yes, sorry?
Sorry, before you, maybe can we echo the fact that in their discussing whatever given as they need to have in mind that there's an action and an outcome. They need to bring up the given action, as you've clearly brought to the action, and the given outcome of that action. So there are two sides that always be fully discussed as you brought out to us in this first point.
Yes. So they give the background, they give the action and the reaction.
Yes.
Yes, that way they will have tied the question, the parts of the question together. So then we go to another instance. I think on page 140, we have the girls. I think this is the second attack by the vagabonds. 140, they are leaving the shop. As they go home, they are passing through a bushy area. That is the background. Then what is going to happen is going to come later on 159, 161, 162. Please look at your text, and so that we build a case again against Nasila culture being very dangerous when someone goes against it, or when someone veers off from the way of life that is set out for these people. Remember in the introduction, we said Ma culture was the blood and marrow that gave sustenance to the body. And what is the body? The Ma community. And that culture was very, very important. So we have the girls there. When Tayo and Resian arrive in Nasila, when they leave the shop, it's about 3 p.m. They are accosted by two vagabonds. I know this is an episode that you know about very well. So what do they do? I think as you read on 140, you see what the vagabonds do. They rough them up and all that. This is not allowed culturally because if you read other parts of the text, you will see that the girl child was always protected. Even when visitors came, they were kept behind the scenes as a way of protecting them. So I want to imagine the vagabonds are contravening culture by attacking these girls. So once then we have that action, we have our background, they're coming from the shop, then there's the action where the violation is taking place. They try to rape them. You saw how they drag them and you see the girls screaming and all that. Then now we are waiting for the action. Now that they have done that, I like the way Madam has said, what is the action? So we will have the Ilmolelians, the Ilmakesen, they'll come out fully armed. So once you see fully armed, it's not going to be a joke. Violently dangerous. What are they going to form? What are they going to form? Somebody should answer that.
And raise your hands, young men. Somebody, can raise your hand. Yes. Yes, Joel, Nehemiah.
You have the text, so you simply pick it from the text. What do they form to deal with these two people who have become deviant?
Okello is raising his hand. Yes, Okello. Yes, Okello. You can talk, Okello.
They have the text, they just read from the text. What are they going to form? These Ilmolelians and the Ilmakisin, what are they going to form to deal with these two vagabonds? What are they going to form?
Enkitungat.
Good, a Kitungat. And we are told this is an abrasive group and it's going to deal with them. I don't know whether to say fairly and squarely, but they are not going to have it easy. Remember the violently dangerous bit of the question. So we know the way they land on them. We have Ntara Muyo, who is a first cousin, is to give a heifer to each Tayo and Resian. And because he's related to them, he's going to give an extra heifer to erase the shame brought out by the offense. What offense has he committed? He has contravened culture here. One, this is a relative, and two, these girls are supposed to be protected and not harassed sexually and all that. Then we have Lante. Please be clear about these two. One is Ntara Muyo, the other one is Lante. He used to pay 2 heifers, and why? It's because they have violated culture, they have contravened culture, and so culture is dealing with them ruthlessly. If you read the text, what else happens to them? They are clobbered. Look at the choice of words. They are clobbered and they bleed profusely. They bleed heavily. So why? Action, as Madam said, then we have reaction, but in the forefront, what we should also be thinking of, what aspect of culture has been violated. So again, the text is clear on that. Please read those pages. We gave 140, we gave 159, 161, 162, just to help bring you, shed some light again about the culture of these people. I think I still have a few minutes, Madam, to give a third one. Is that okay?
You have
before I go to the conclusion? Okay. So another instance, Mama Milano is in bed and she's reflecting about her family and the relevance of FGM. And as in that reflection, she remembers something about the eventuality that if a girl got pregnant before circumcision and marriage, then that such a girl again was going to be dealt with ruthlessly. Why? Because we are told a girl who goes against tradition and becomes pregnant before circumcision and marriage, this was an abomination. Actually, I think the word used, Madam, in the text is an abomination.
Yes.
It's like this girl has contravened culture. And because of that, then she's going to be offensively referred to as an entapai. That's the word used in the text. So if she's walking, they will say that one is entapai, is an entapai. And we are told this is derogatory, this is offensive. It's going to be a shame to this girl because as she walks in the village, everybody will be pointing fingers at her. So there's that repercussion, her being referred to offensively as an entapai. Then she and her family are going to be held in contempt. She and her family are going to be ridiculed. She and her family are going to be mocked. They are going to be jeered. So you can imagine if she has brothers like you. or she has her father, she has her mother, and especially the father, because I believe fathers may not really be happy about this. What crime has the girl committed? Then from there, working on the action, now that she has contravened culture, she has to be circumcised at the time of giving birth. I want to imagine this is quite painful. She's giving birth, then after that, she's being circumcised. Then building on the repercussion, because bring out as much of this as possible, that she's going to be circumcised when she's giving birth, which is very painful, it's very violent. And then she's going to be married off to the oldest man in the village. Madam, if the oldest man in the village is 100 years or 120,
God
then
forbid.
this girl will be given to that man. Why?
Yes.
It's because she has violated our culture. And so I believe circumcising the girl at birth is quite painful, it's quite dehumanizing, it's quite traumatizing. So that we are still anchored on the question, the action, the culture that has been violated. Then we have the action and the reaction. In the reaction here, I can see 3 points. She's circumcised at the point of giving birth. Then, no, first she's referred to derogatorily, really offensively as entapai. Then she's circumcised at the time of giving birth, which is very painful, it's very violent. Then she's married off to the oldest man in the village, which now becomes very, very traumatizing. So I want to imagine this is a young girl, maybe she's 15, 16, 17, and we have the old man at 100. So it's quite heavy. And therefore, what is the mistake? The mistake is she has got pregnant before marriage. So I think maybe just to touch one more point, then we can do the conclusion, then hear the reactions. We have Pamwat reflecting again on, I think for Pamwat, if we are to introduce him, then we say he has come to teach the girls the song and dance, Ma culture and all that.
Yes.
So at some point on page 232, she's reflecting on what would happen if he allowed himself to get into a relationship with Tayo, because I believe that is what makes him make that decision when he says, no, I will not marry you. It is because he has been reflecting on the repercussions if he went into that. So on 232, I think he's reflecting on that. If he allowed himself to get into a relationship with Tayo, this would not be culturally acceptable. This would mean he would contravene the culture of the Ma people. So it would not be acceptable. Why? Because they are from the same clan. Such a relationship, the text is clear, would end up being illicit. It would end up being clandestine. I think those are the words that the author has used. He's well aware of the fact that such a relationship is going to be a contravention of the culture. And because of that, he was not going to escape castigation. He was not going to escape punishment. That punishment is usually given out to offenders by Nasila culture. And because this is a reflection, and because we have seen he doesn't want to contravene the culture, the fact that they are related, then in his thinking, in his thoughts, we have how culture is going to deal with him if he contravenes this. And so what are some of if that action were to come, then what would be the reaction? Remember, the culture that is being, if it were to be contravened, was if he would have this illicit or clandestine relationship with Tayo because they are related. So if that were to take off, then we have how will it be dealt with that is going to be heavy. One, there's payment of compensation in form of keto.
Madam,
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
I believe the young men are having to take a break because our lesson ended 3 minutes ago. Maybe we can just wrap it with a conclusion for the few that are there. And then they're already leaving.
So let me just conclude then on that point. We have payment of compensation in the form of ghetto. We have suffering a public rebuke, and you have to undergo a demeaning cleansing ceremony. So if we conclude that essay, it is evident that Ma culture, if desecrated, if contravened, then indeed it viciously or fiercely or ferociously dealt with the offenders. For example, the manless old man and the vagabonds are ruthlessly clobbered, and they have to suffer the consequences of going against the cultural expectations of Nasila culture. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Madam Isinta, for clearly, truly, evidently guiding us through what it is that is a snippet, what's expected of us. Young man, even as you exit, note it's all about detail, detail, detail. The devil is in the detail. Let us read our text. Let us, be at hand, one-on-one with the text. Brothers, we want to wish you well. Thank you for this session. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Best regards as we break off. So God bless you. You may go for those who have not yet gone.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you for
lesson.
the lesson.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for the lesson.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you too. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Ndio nipasha